Every Sega Saturn fan under the sun knows the disappointing tale of that console's Doom conversion. id Software's John Carmack put the kibosh on a custom engine built just for the game, which resulted in a product that didn't take advantage of anything the hardware could do. Worse, it was a port of the code from the PlayStation Edition, meaning that nothing was optimized beyond the simple goal of getting the game to run. The end product has numerous issues, the most glaring of which was the abysmal performance. In some of the more elaborate areas, we saw single-digit frame rates often. Doom had run better on the Jaguar and 32X for God's sake, so it was a real letdown that something as powerful as the Saturn would turn out a product this bad. And that was our narrative for this release for nearly 30 years. Even when fan improvement projects would crop up for other consoles, it was never for the Saturn Edition, further pushing that version to the bottom of the barrel. Lucky for us, not all hope has been lost. At last year's Sega Extreme Saturn Game Competition, a contestant by the name of Fafling submitted a patch for Saturn Doom that improved a bunch of things with the sound and added the nightmare difficulty. The most exciting of these additions was the slight boost to performance, something that I had hoped would be expanded upon in the future. Well, that future is now, because Fafling has submitted version 0.2 of the patch at this year's Sega Saturn Competition, this time with a vastly improved performance boost. I took a run with it and came away truly impressed with the progress. I've got a bunch of gameplay capture to share with you, so let's get started. Before we take a look at the game, let's go over what you need for the patch to work. This is using the Japanese retail release of Saturn Doom, because that was the latest build of the game. If you don't already have it, that's the version you'll need to find. If you go over to Sega Extreme and download the patch, you'll find it comes with a program to apply the patch. It really is just that simple, and a few Google searches should have you up and running in just a few minutes. Once you start up your freshly patched version, you'll notice right away it loads up faster, and the flames on the opening Doom logo are now fully transparent, something that wasn't the case before. From there, the most impressive fixes are the improved performance, lowered input lag, faster animations, and quicker strafing speeds. To say this plays better would be an understatement, and I felt the improvements from the moment I began playing. Now, before we go getting our hopes up that things are now a rock-solid 30 frames per second across every stage, that isn't the case. Some of the more busy areas still slow down terribly and are still a pain to play. This is just version 0.2 after all, so don't go expecting miracles just yet. On the plus side, there is enough of a performance boost across enough of the game to really make it stand out. And when you do get to the areas that are still rough, it's still a lot better than that original shit show. I also noticed that there is now a strange stutter that seems to be in place with every movement of the screen. I'm not sure if this is a side effect of the changes, but I do not remember this happening in the original. As a trade-off for the performance boost, however, I'll take it, because the game plays so much better now. Getting deeper into the game, the improvements really start to pay off. I'm able to respond faster, avoid enemy fire more accurately, and even my own weapons seem to pop off quicker. I went headlong into battles with dozens of enemies that brought the original game to its knees, and while it still isn't exactly smooth, I can now actually move around well enough to survive even the most aggressive enemies. The full list of improvements can be viewed at the Sega Extreme thread for the contest, along with a bunch of other great games and utilities you can try out for your Sega Saturn, including a bite-sized idea of what Shenmue would have looked and played like. This competition is held every year, and there are always some interesting creations to try out. As for old Doom here, I highly recommend you give it a go and see the improvements for yourself. I've always wondered if Saturn Doom could be fixed, and this goes a long way to give us some hope that that is indeed possible. With any luck, the project will continue, and Saturn Doom will finally get the version it's always deserved. I'm Sega Lord X. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.